بسم الله، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يعطيكم ألف عافية يا جماعة. مستمرين في شرح تشابتر 1. هو راح يكون تشابتر 1 هيك حوالي 50 سلايد، 58 اشي زي هيك. بدي احاول اخلصه، انا احاول اخلص كل يوم تشابتر مثلا واوزعهم على اليوم. فاحنا هون وقفنا. انا ما بعرف ليش انا وقفت هون. لما وقفت التشغيل قلت ما هاي انا قلتها قبل شوي لي السوفت وير انجينيرنج از ان انجينيرنج ديسيبلين، وحكينا عن نقطة الانجينيرنج ديسيبلين والاول اسبيكتس اوف سوفت وير برودكشن حكيناها. فاحنا ما وقفنا هون. importance of software engineering حكينا more and more individuals and society rely on advanced software systems. It's usually cheaper in the long run. حكينا عن السوفت وير بروسيس اكتيفيتيز اللي هي سبيسيفيكيشن. هون السوفت وير، هون احنا ديفاين ذا سوفت وير. في الديفلوبمنت هون السوفت وير از ديزايند اند بروجرامد. في الفاليديشن هون السوفت وير از تشيكد تو انشور ذات ات از وات ذا كاستمر ريكوايرز. في الايفوليوشن it is software is modified to reflect changing customer and market requirements. احنا وصلنا لهون اللي هي الجنرال ايشوز ذات افكت سوفت وير. وانا ترى حتى يعني بلشت انه الخص وهكذا، وحاولت الخص في تشابتر 2 وتشابتر 3، ولكن راح تلاقوا انه انا خلص راح اصير اعتمد على السلايدات صراحه جدا ممتازه. فهون انا كنت وقفت اخر شيء على الجنرال ايشوز ذات افكت سوفت وير، يعني ذات افكت سوفت وير اللي هي الهيتروجينيتي والبزنس اند سوشيال تشينج. فاحنا وصلنا هون على 53 من اصل 67 اذا انتم بتتابعوا معي في الدفتر. في عندك الهيتروجينيتي. increasingly systems are required to operate as distributed systems across network that include different types of computer and mobile devices. Business and social change. Business and society are changing incredibly quickly as emerging economies develop and new technologies become available. They need to be able to change their existing software and to rapidly develop new software. في عندك كمان security and trust وscale. Security and trust. As software is intertwined with all aspects of our lives, it is essential that we can trust that software. Will scale. Software has to be developed across a very wide range of scales, from very small embedded systems and portable and wearable devices through to internet scale cloud-based systems that serve a global community. فعندنا software engineering diversity اللي هو التنوع. There are many different types of software systems and there is no universal set of software techniques that is يعني applicable to all of these. The software engineering methods and tools depend on the type of application being developed, the requirements of the customer and the background of the development team. في عندنا الابلكيشن تايبس وهي راح تكون كثير طويله. هلا انا عددتهم يعني، وهون هو معددين ومع الشرح، بس انا عددتهم في الدفتر. خلينا نشوفهم احنا. هيهم different types of applications. في عندك stand alone application، في عندنا interactive transaction based applications، في عندنا embedded control systems, batch processing systems, entertainment systems, systems for modeling and simulation, data collection and analysis systems systems of systems. فخلينا نشوفهم احنا. هلا في عندنا stand alone application. These are application systems that run on a local computer such as a PC. They include all necessary functionality and do not need to be connected to a network. Interactive transaction-based applications that execute on a remote computer and are accessed by users from their own PC or terminals. These include web applications such as e-commerce applications. Embedded control systems. These are software control systems that control and manage hardware devices. Numerically, there are probably more embedded systems than any other type of system. Batch processing system. These are business systems that are designed to process data in large batches. They process large numbers of individual inputs to create corresponding outputs. وهاي أنا بتذكر إني أنا حطيتها كمان هيك، بس انه هي رسمه بسيطه انه انبوت لاوتبوت. هاي الستاند الون ان ديتيل. هاي في عندك الانتر اكتيف ترانزاكشن بيزد ابلكيشن. في عندنا والله الامبيدد كنترول والباتش بروسيسنج. هيو انه في عندنا انبوت لارج انبوت، بعدين بيطلعوا لارج اوتبوت اللي هو لارج باتشز من الاوتبوت. في عنا الانترتينمنت سيستمز، واكيد انت يعني لما تعرف معتز اكيد راح تعرف انه انا يعني من محبين الانترتينمنت سيستمز. زي هي المشكله مش مبينه، بس هي الدبليو دبليو اي مثلا السيستم اللي هم مسوينه كانترتينمنت فلاج شيب شوز، اي اي دبليو، نيو جابان برو ريسلينج، كلها كومبانيز، مصارعه، فيفا، غيرها من الان اف ال والستانلي كاب تشامبيونز والهوكي وهالامور تاعت كندا. كل هاي تصنف entertainment. Entertainment system, these are systems that are primarily for personal use and which are intended to entertain the user. هيني انا حاطب كمان هون، حتى بتقدر تقول والله ستانلي كاب او حتى ما بعرف شو اسمها بس هوكي تشامبيونز اشي زي هيك. Systems for modeling and simulation. These are systems that are developed by scientists and engineers to model physical processes or situations, which include many separate interacting objects. هاي بتذكرني في السيسكو باكيت تريسر اللي هو زي كانه سيميوليشن، بيسوي سيميوليت لريل وورلد مثلا نتورك او ريل لايف نتورك. Data collection system. These are systems that collect data from their environment using a set of sensors and send that data to other systems for processing. Systems of systems اللي هي these are systems that are composed of a number of other systems, software systems. ففي عندنا software engineering fundamentals. Some fundamental principles apply to all types of software systems irrespective of the development techniques used. Systems should be developed using a managed and understood development process, of course. Different processes are used for different types of software. Dependability and performance are important for all types of system. Understanding and managing the software specification and requirements, what the software should do, are important. Where appropriate, you should reuse software that has already been developed rather than write new software. Internet software engineering. The web is now a platform for running applications, and organizations are increasingly developing web-based systems rather than local systems. Web services discussed in chapter 19 allow application functionality to be accessed over the web. Cloud computing is an approach to the provision of computer services where applications run remotely on the cloud. Users don't buy software, pay according to use. هم pay as you go هي بكل اختصار. هي شغله كلنا ناخذها احنا في دورات الاعداد الوظيفي اللي هي الدورات اللي عليها 20 علامه اللي هي الكلاود بيست. في عنا web based software engineering. Web based systems are complex distributed systems, but the fundamental principles of software engineering discussed previously are as applicable to them as they are to any other types of systems. نفس المبادئ اللي بتكون applicable للسوفتوير engineering كمان تطبق على الويب based. The fundamental ideas of software engineering apply to web-based software in the same way that they apply to other types of software systems. في عنا web software engineering. فهون في عنا في الويب سوفتوير انجينيرنج في عنا السوفتوير ريوز اللي هو software reuse is the dominant approach for constructing web-based systems. When building these systems, you think about how you can assemble them from pre-existing software components and systems. وهاي شغله راح ناخذها في الشابترات زي مثلا 2 و 3 اتوقع اللي هي الانكريمنتال اند اجايل ديفلوبمنت. الاجايل هو تشابتر 3 لحاله، يعني هو تشابتر هيك لحاله. فهاي واحدة من طرق الديفلوبمنت اللي هو يا اما بتكون مثلا في عندك نوعين مشهورين، يا ووتر فول يا اجايل ديفلوبمنت. وهلا احنا راح نعرف بس هيك نبذة عنهم. Web-based system should be developed and delivered incrementally. It is now generally recognized that it is impractical to specify all the requirements for such systems in advance. فبيقول لك service oriented systems، فيحكي لك software may be implemented using service oriented software engineering where the software components are standalone web services. Rich interface development technologies such as Ajax and HTML5 has emerged that support the creation of rich interfaces within a web browser. هلا هون احنا راح نيجي على الجزء الثاني من الشابتر اللي هو السوفتوير انجينيرنج ايثكس، اللي هو بحكي لك software engineering involves wider responsibilities than simply the application of technical skills. Software engineers must behave in an honest and ethically responsible way if they are to be respected as professionals. Ethical behavior is more than simply upholding the law but involves following a set of principles that are morally correct. زي مثلا confidentiality. هاي الاشيو لا مش امثل عليها، هاي الاشيوز اوف بروفيشنال ريسبونسبيلتي. Confidentiality. Engineers should normally respect the confidentiality of their employers or clients, irrespective of whether or not a formal confidentiality agreement has been signed. Competence. اللي هو يعني الاعتمادية. Engineers should not misrepresent their level of competence. They should not knowingly accept work which is out with their competence. Intellectual property rights. The engineers should be aware of local laws governing the use of intellectual property such as patents اللي هي والcopyright etc. They should be careful to ensure that the intellectual property of employers and clients is protected. Computer misuse. Software engineers should not use their technical skills to misuse other people's computers. Computer misuse ranges from relatively trivial game playing on an employer's machine, say, to extremely serious dissemination of viruses. فهون بحكي لك ال ACM IEEE Code of Ethics. The professional societies in the US have cooperated to produce a code of ethical practice. Members of these organizations sign up to the code of practice when they join. The code contains 8 principles related to the behavior of and decision made by professional software engineers, including practitioners, educators, managers, supervisors, and policymakers, as well as trainees and students of the profession. فبحكي لك rational for the code of ethics. Computers have a central and growing role in commerce, industry, government, medicine, education, entertainment, and society at large. Software engineers are those who contribute by direct participation or by teaching to the analysis, specification, design, development, certification, maintenance, and testing of software systems. Because of their roles in developing software systems, software engineers have significant opportunities to do good or cause harm, to enable others to do good or cause harm, or to influence others to do good or cause harm. To ensure as much as possible that their efforts will be used for good, software engineers must commit themselves to making software engineering a beneficial and respected profession. فهون في عنا the ACM and IEEE Code of Ethics. هيو Joint Task Force on Software Engineering Ethics and Professional Practices. Preamble. The short version of the code summarizes aspiration at a high level of the abstraction. هون بحكي لك بكل اختصار انه لازم احنا كسوفتوير انجينيرز كوميت لهاي الامور. منها هي انه مثلا انت تحفظ الكلمه وهو شو تعبيرها. Public. Software engineers shall act consistently with the public interest. Client and employer. Software engineers shall act in a manner that is in the best interest of their client and employer, consistent with the public interest. Product. Software engineers shall ensure that their products and related modifications meet the highest professional standards possible. Judgment. Software engineers shall maintain integrity and independence in their professional judgment. Management. Software engineers, managers, and leaders shall subscribe to and promote an ethical approach to the management of software development and maintenance. Profession. Software engineers shall advance the integrity and reputation of the profession consistent with the public interest. Colleagues. Software engineers shall be fair to and supportive of their colleagues. Self. Software engineers shall participate in lifelong learning regarding the practice of their profession and shall promote an ethical approach to the practice of the profession. Case studies. هلا بدنا نحكي مثلا ethical dilemmas اللي هي مثلا disagreement and principle with the policies of senior management. Your employer acts in an unethical way and releases a safety critical system without finishing the testing of the system. Participation in the development of military weapons systems or nuclear systems. Case studies زي مثلا a personal insulin pump, an embedded system in an insulin pump used by diabetics to maintain blood glucose control. A mental health case patient management system. Ment care هذا راح نحكي عنه كثير بالمستقبل. Ment care system, a system used to maintain records of people receiving care for mental health problems. a wilderness weather station, a data collection system that collects data about weather conditions in remote areas. و iLearn, a digital learning environment اللي هو a system to support learning in schools. فخلينا نيجي على كل واحدة فيهم في التفصيل وقربنا احنا نخلص. Insulin pump control systems بحكي لك collects data from blood sugar sensors and calculates the amount of insulin required to be injected. Calculation based on the rate of change of blood sugar levels. Sends signals to a micro pump to deliver the correct dose of insulin. عفوا. Safety critical system as low blood sugars can lead to brain malfunctioning, coma and death. فانت لازم تكون كثير هاي جدا حساسة جدا يعني critical. High blood sugar levels have long-term consequences such as eye and kidney damage. اللهم عافنا يعني. Insulin pump hardware architecture بحكي لك هاي الباور سبلاي، هاي في عندك الانسولين ريزيفير، في عندك البامب نفسها هاي النيدل اسمبلي، في عندك السنسور هاي الكنترولر. من هون ممكن هو يرسل للبامب اشارات. ممكن الكلوك تتحكم في الكنترولر والكنترولر يوجه الارم. وفي عندك ديسبلاي 1 اور 2. في عندك الاكتيفيتي موديل اون ذا انسولين بامب اللي هو في عندك هي هون احنا بنبلش بلاد سنسور، بعدين انالايز سنسور ريدنج، بعدين بلاد شوجر، كومبيوت انسولين، بعدين في عندك انسولين دوز، في عندك لوج دوز وانسولين لوج، بعدين بتكمل انت ممكن تدخل اون فلوب لحد ما تطلع تو كومبيوت بامب كوماندز، بامب داتا، كنترول انسولين بامب، انسولين بامب. بعدها خلص هيك انت هيك بتكون انت اتميت الاكتيفيتي موديل. Essential high level requirements. The system shall be available to deliver insulin when required. The system shall perform reliably and deliver the correct amount of insulin to counteract the current level of blood sugar. The system must therefore be designed and implemented to ensure that the system always meets these requirements. هلا راح نيجي على واحدة من أكثر الأمثلة اللي راح عن جد يعني تتكرر معنا كثير، اللي هي المنت كير سيستم اللي هو المنتال كير سيستم. A patient information system for mental health care. A patient information system to support mental health care is a medical information system that maintains information about patients suffering from mental health problems and the treatment that they have received. Most mental health patients don't require dedicated hospital treatment, but need to attend specialist clinics regularly where they can meet a doctor who has detailed knowledge of their problems. To make it easier for patients to attend, these clinics are not just run in hospitals. They may also be held in local medical practices or community centers. في المنت كير بحكي لك is an information system that is intended for use in clinics. It makes use of a centralized database of patient information but has also been designed to run on a PC so that it may be accessed and used from sites that don't have secure network connectivity. When the local systems have secure network access, they use patient information in the database, but they can download and use local copies of patient records when they are disconnected. Mint goals. شو الجولز الرئيسية؟ To generate management information that allows health service managers to assess performance against local and governmental targets. To provide medical staff with timely information to support the treatment of patients. For the organization of Mint Care System زي ما انتم شايفين هاي البيشنت داتابيس بتتعامل مع المنت كير سيرفر اللي بتتعامل مع النتورك اللي بتتعامل بحالتها مع المنت كير كلاينت والمنت وعدد من الكلاينتس. هم انا فكرت انه اكثر من يا اما كلاينت يا اما دكتور يا اما هذا ادمن، ولكن هاي النتورك بتتعامل مع عدة كلاينتس اللي بتتعامل مع السيرفر اللي بتتعامل مع المنت كير داتابيس. Key features of the Mint Care System. Individual care system. Clinics or clinicians have create records for patients, edit the information in the system, view patient history اللي هو هون يعني الفانكشن requirements انه شو الاشياء اللي لازم تصير. هاي شغله احنا رح نتعلمها بعدين. The system supports data, summarizes so that doctors can quickly learn about the key problems and treatments عفوا that have been prescribed. Patient monitoring. The system monitors the records of patients that are involved in treatment and issues warnings if possible problems are detected. Administrative reporting. The system generates monthly management reports showing the number of patients treated at each clinic. يعني مثلا ممكن يكون في عندك هي نفس الشركة أو نفس الاسم ولكن هي على عدة عيادات منتشرة مثلا. the number of patients who have entered and left the care system, number of patients sections, the drug prescribed and their costs. الدراجز ممكن تستخدم انه كالعقار اللي هو عبارة عن عقاقير اللي هي الدوسز اللي انت بتاخذها بس. Mint care system concerns مثلا زي البرايفسي. It is essential that patient information، وهي شغلة معروفة في الطب انه ال patient information is confidential، ما حدا بيطلع عليها الا ال patient نفسه فقط. And is never disclosed to anyone apart from the authorized medical staff and the patient themselves. Safety. Some mental illnesses cause patients to become suicidal or danger to other people. Wherever possible, the system should warn medical staff about potentially suicidal or dangerous patients. The system must be available when needed, otherwise safety may be compromised and it may be impossible to prescribe the correct medication to patients. الآن wilderness weather station اللي هي إشي بري يعني. The government of a country with large areas of wilderness decides to deploy several hundred weather stations in remote areas. Weather stations collect data from a set of instruments that measure temperature and pressure, sunshine, rainfall, wind speed, and wind direction. The weather station includes a number of instruments that measure weather parameters such as the wind speed and direction, the ground and air temperature, the barometric pressure, and the rainfall over a 24-hour period. Each of these instruments is controlled by a software system that takes parameter readings periodically and manages the data collected from that instrument. فهون بحكي لك الويذر ستيشن انفايرمنت. في عندك هي سيستم عم بتعاملوا مع بعض. سيستم ويذر ستيشن بتعامل مع سيستم ستيشن مينتننس مع سيستم داتا مانجمنت اند اركايفنج. هلا الويذر انفورميشن سيستم بحكي لك the weather station system this is responsible for collecting weather data, carrying out some initial data processing and transmitting it to the data management system. The data management and archiving system, this system collects the data from all of the wilderness weather stations, carries out data processing and analysis and archives the data. The station maintenance system, this system can communicate by satellite with all wilderness weather stations to monitor the health of these systems and provide reports of problems. Additional software functionality, monitor the instruments, power and communication hardware and reports faults to the management system. Manage the system power, ensuring that batteries are charged whenever the environmental conditions permit, but also that generators are shut down in potentially damaged weather conditions such as high wind. Support dynamic reconfiguration where parts of the software are replaced with the new versions and where backup instruments are switched into the system in the event of system failure. الان اي ليرن، وهي الشغله احنا راح يركزوا على الاي ليرن بس هم راح يركزوا اكثر شيء على المنت كير سيستم. فالاي ليرن ديجيتال ليرنينج انفايرمنت زيها زي مثلا جو اكاديمي، زيها زي من اشهر المنصات اللي في الاردن. انا على وقتي كانت بس اشهر منصتين جو اكاديمي ووتد التعليميه، اكثر من هيك صراحه بطلت انا اجمع مع المنصات الكبيره هاي اللي صارت كثير صراحه، صار عددهم بعد جيل 2003. A digital learning environment is a framework in which a set of general purpose and specially designed tools for learning may be embedded, plus a set of applications that are geared to the needs of the learners using the system. The tools included in each version of the environment are chosen by teachers and learners to suit their specific needs. These can be general applications such as spreadsheets, learning management applications such as virtual learning environment, VLE, to manage homework submission and assessment, games and simulations. هلا بدنا نحكي عن service oriented systems. The system is a service oriented system with all system components considered to be a replaceable service. This allows the system to be updated incrementally as new services become available. It also makes it possible to rapidly configure the system to create versions of the environment for different groups such as very young children who cannot read, senior students, etc. iLearn services, في عندك utility services that provide basic application independent functionality and which may be used by other services in the system. Application services that provide specific applications such as email, conferencing, photo sharing, etc. and access to specific educational content such as يعني scientific films and historical resources. Configuration services that are used to adapt the environment with a specific set of application services and do define how services are shared between students, teachers and their parents. في عندك الاي ليرن اركتكتشر، في عندك هون بيحكي لك البراوزر بيس يوزر انترفيس اي ليرن اب، بعدين الكونفيجريشن سيرفيسز زي جروب مانجمنت، ابلكيشن مانجمنت، ايدنتيتي مانجمنت، بعدين السيرفيسز ايميل، مسج، فيديو كونفرنسنج، نيوز بيبر، اركايف، وورد بروسيسنج، سيميوليشن، فيديو ستورج، ريسورس فايندر، هيستوري اركايف، فيرتشوال ليرنينج انفايرمنت وسبريد شيت. اليوتيليتي سيرفيسز زي اوثنتيكيشن، لوجينج اند مونيتورنج، انترفيسنج، سيرش، ابلكيشن ستورج ويوزر ستورج. فاي ليرن سيرفيس انتجريشن بحكي لك integrated services are services which offer an API application programmable interface او application programming interface and which can be accessed by other services through that API. Direct service to service communication is therefore possible. Independent services are services which are simply accessed through the browser interface and which operate independently of other services. Information can only be shared with other services through explicit user actions such as copy and paste. Re-authentication may be required for each independent service. فهون احنا وصلنا للنهاية اللي هي والله الكي بوينتس انه software engineering is an engineering discipline that is concerned with all aspects of software production. Essential software product attributes are maintainability, dependability and security, efficiency and acceptability. The high level activities of specification, development, validation, evolution are part of all software processes. The fundamental notation of software engineering are universally applicable to all types of system development. There are many different types of system and each requires appropriate system engineering tools and techniques for their development. The fundamental ideas of software engineering are applicable to all types of software systems. Software engineers have responsibilities to the engineering profession and society. They should not simply be concerned with technical issues, but professional societies publish codes of conduct which set out the standards of behavior expected of their members. ان شاء الله هيك احنا بنكون خلصنا الشابتر الاول، وفي ترى اسئله في نهايه الكتاب. طبعا هي الكتاب هي الكي بوينتس اللي هي الاشياء المهمه، هاي الفيرذر ريدنجز مثلا، في عندك والله الويب سايت تاعهم، هي الاكسرسايزز مثلا ممكن انك انت تجرب حالك فيهم، تجرب تحل كم من سؤال منهم وبس، وهاي الريفرنسز. وهيك احنا ان شاء الله بنكون رحنا لتشابتر 2 اللي هو السوفت وير بروسيسز. ان شاء الله ملتقانا راح يكون عند تشابتر 2 اللي هو السوفت وير بروسيسز، وهون احنا راح نبدا نحكي عن الووتر فول والانكريمنتال ديفلوبمنت. بعدين راح نحكي في تشابتر 3 عن الاجايل. بعدين اتوقع انا لو وصلت لعند تشابتر 4 بس لازم انه انا هلا امشي مع كيف تدرجات الماده نفسها. فانتظرونا ان شاء الله بكره مع تشابتر 2. يعطيكم الف عافيه. صحيح، خلينا نشوف بس اخر شيء في الدفتر اللي هو لوين وصلنا. شايفين هون انا بس صرت احكي خلص، صرت استعمل السلاح السري تاعي اللي هو سي سلايد 21 فولي، بعدين 22 لعند الاند، وبعدين خلص. يعني هيك احنا قربنا ترى نخلص الدفتر. هي تشابتر 2 حتى انا كنت لسه مجبر حالي انه والله اكتب لي كم من شغله. فبس يعطيكم الف عافيه.